Welcome to A&B Horror Movies. I'm Aaron, and I'm very excited to be joined today by Edward Payson. Edward, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I can't wait to chat with you today about your films. So you are a director, a writer, a producer. You created the documentary about the lost Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, In Search of All-American Massacre. You also wrote and directed the Cohasset Snuff film, and you wrote and directed Rarity retro video game collecting in the modern era. So congratulations on your films. I can't wait to chat about them today with you.
Thank you, sir.
So let's start with In Search of All-American Massacre.
In 1999, a direct sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, starring Bill Moseley, went into production. For the first time, a documentary team comes together to learn what happened to All-American Massacre.
So what is All-American Massacre? Well, it's a film made by William Tony Hooper, who's Toby's son. He wanted to make a spin-off film based on his dad's famous franchise, and he wanted to use the character of Chop Top.
I think that maybe as an accumulation of all the work that he's done with his father, that this probably was, hey, look, Dad, I can carry this on, the tradition, and get it right.
The film went into production in 1999, and then in August 16th of 2000, they announced that the film was going to be released on Halloween. It did not come out on Halloween. It never came out at all.
All-American Massacre, to this very day, 20 years after the filming of it, still has not seen the light of day.
What is this film? Why was it never released?
I never heard any of the conspiracy theories.
I started to hear rumors that some of the footage ended up with somebody back east somewhere or something, and that had been sold off to the highest bidders.
One of the producers of this film, Eric Lasher, abandoned a storage locker.
Somebody bids on it, they open it, what do they find? The elements for All-American Massacre. I'm talking film reels, all that good stuff. Somebody buys it, and then it disappears yet again.
So I didn't know about the lost film, and I feel like people need to know about it because it's one of those things where once you find out, it's just sort of going to cap the entire experience of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I really hope we get to see this movie.
So there's a lot of clips on YouTube, and there's just so much evidence that this movie exists. And all those clips show that the movie could be good. That it could be good, and it should be seen. It's art. It's art, and art shouldn't be hidden. It should be out there. So whoever has it, give it up, man. Come on, give it up. Let it be finished so we could see it, so we could enjoy it, you know? I want to see it. I want to see it before I leave this world. How about that?
So my first question for you is, how did this come about? What inspired you to make this documentary about the lost Texas Chainsaw Massacre film?
Well, honestly, so way back when the film was being created, I had heard about it. And this is like the early internet. I was a big fan, of horror films back then. And I watched a lot of horror films with my dad. And kind of the thing that I did with my dad whenever I went over there, at the time, my mom and dad were divorced, and he only had custody for every other weekend. So our kind of ritual was he'd pick us up. We'd immediately go to Blockbuster or our local video update or a mom and pop shop, and we'd get a VHS or, at that time in the early 2000s, DVD. And it'd usually be a horror film, and it usually would be one that my stepmother didn't agree with us watching. So we'd end up watching it in the basement. And my dad was a gunsmith.
Okay.
So while he was like making bullets and stuff in the basement for his job, which he owned a sports shop, which basically would make ammo and stuff for and ammunition and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be doing that, and then we'd also be watching horror films. So as you can imagine, a little New England house, really, really old, probably around like a 75 to 100-year-old house, if not older, creaky, and you're just watching horror films in the wee hours of the night. And one of them was, we had watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then later we ended up wanting to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And
I have the best sequels.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, nice.
And the reason why I still have this is because in 2008, around Christmas time.
Mhm.
My father passed away, but we had rented this before he passed away, and we had wanted to watch it around Christmas time. And unfortunately, he passed away before we were able to do that. And with all like the chaos of, planning a funeral and Christmas time happening and everything like that,
Mhm. Oh
I
gosh,
didn't
I'm
get
sorry
around.
to hear that. Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. I not only didn't get around to returning it, I didn't get around to watching it for a while until kind of all the stuff with him passing. Because it was like an open wound at that point
Mhm.
to even sit down and watch it. But once I did, from then on, I kind of just thought about my dad. And I had heard that around that time on the internet, that there was something going on with a lost film starring Bill reprising his role as Chop Top, and for a very long time I kind of kept up
Mhm.
with it, and then it kind of just disappeared into the ether. Um, and then it wasn't until
Yes.
I actually moved my boxes in my I was still in California at the time, and I moved
Mhm.
my boxes around, and I found that DVD again, making some room, and I was like, I wonder what ever happened to that old thing. And it was around COVID time, and that was why I was like reorganizing everything. And I
Yes.
was like,
Yep.
I have nothing to do. And in California, things were really, really like bad as far as what you could and couldn't do during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything shut
Um,
down, right? Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
like
Yep.
everything shut down. So
Mhm.
um, I hit up my friend Adam, and I was like, hey, I have an idea for a documentary that nobody's doing. It's super niche. Who knows
Mhm.
if anybody will watch it? Who knows if anybody even remembers this thing? And come to find out, like even like the most hardcore Texas Chainsaw Massacre fans, people with like tattoos all over their bodies, like most of these people had never even heard of All American Massacre, and
Mhm.
that's what kind of
Yep.
sparked up making the film. And yeah, it was a wild ride. I had no idea that it was going to be such a hard ride. It definitely took a lot out of me. Um,
Yeah.
because at the same time we were doing this film, we had actually gone into production on this film first before going into uh, our film Rarity, and then because
Mhm.
this film was so hard to kind of put together and get into contact with people, we actually ended up finishing Rarity first, even though this one was in production first. So um,
Okay. Well, in the documentary In Search of All American Massacre, you speak to some of the challenges you did have trying to make it, like finding footage, speaking with people who were involved with it. From what I've gathered from the film, it sounds like it was a fan film for the most part. Can you speak to that, or was that your discovery as well?
yeah, a fan film, but what's interesting about it is
Mhm.
you rarely have a fan film where people were from the original film will reprise their role, and then
Of course.
also in this film, the original director's son,
Mhm.
Toby Hooper's son, Tony Hooper, would be directing it. And then he had some of the best people in the business kind of doing the special effects, people that had worked on Mortal Kombat,
Mhm.
people that had worked on all these like A-list films, or not necessarily A-list but big budget blockbusters, doing special effects and doing the makeup on all these big films and Tales from the Crypt and all these different things. um,
Yes, and you speak about that in the documentary, of course.
yeah, so although it was something that was kind of being done under the radar, it was being done by people who did have a passion for this and were working in
Mm.
Hollywood on big projects at the time. So there was a lot of excitement, at least in this little world of people that um, knew about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and knew about the business.
Yes. Yes. Well, I found it very intriguing and interesting to check out. I didn't know anything about this lost film. So congratulations for making it and bringing some attention to it, even if the movie itself will never see the light of day. Um, at least that's what you cover in the documentary. Um, so congratulations on getting it made, even if it was challenging and some you faced a number of obstacles along the way. Let's leave it at that.
Thank you.
Good. Yes, you're welcome. And I grew up watching horror movies too. I love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. So when I found out about this documentary, like I said, I was very intrigued. Um, so why don't we talk a little bit about your found footage film called the Cohasset Snuff film about a teen serial killer who records his gosh, how do I describe it? Records his kills in a very
Yeah.
shocking manner.
This is Hyena Gallery in Burbank, California. We're an art gallery that really specializes in the darker and macabre things. And there's always a bit of true crime stuff here. I got this really great piece by Charles Manson I can show you. We also have another great piece by John Wayne Gacy. But this isn't really what you care about, is it? I know you came here to see the really rare stuff, and I have probably the holy grail. This is the disc, man. This is everything you want to know about the Colin Mason murders.
Colin, please. This isn't a movie.
Not yet. We have his daily blogs.
Get your head in the game. You got a killer on the loose.
All the plotting and
we were able to determine that he had a night vision camera.
We even have some of his victim stuff on there.
Get out of my face!
But you can actually see him going crazier and crazier.
It's terrifying that someone so young could be so sick.
And it's just such a glimpse into his mind.
What are you doing?
I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do with this, but when it gets out there, I think it's going to blow people's minds.
What was the inspiration for that film? What made you want to create this found footage serial killer-esque movie? And I should mention that it's streaming on FoundTV and multiple platforms. In fact, that's how you and I connected through Instagram. So here we are. So how did your film come about?
Yeah, so weirdly enough, so while I was in college, actually, thesis film, I had already done a feature film
Yes.
on the weekends with my friends in college, just because I was bored with just doing, the class projects, and doing short films didn't really excite me the way that it did everybody else. I wanted to do the feature film, and there's always this stigma in colleges where they don't really, all the kids when you go to college are kind of like, nose up to horror films. And I kind of felt like the odd man out a lot of the time. So once I found my group of people in college, I was like, hey guys, we have friends, we have a camera, we have, I have a bunch of credit cards now with this perfect credit because I haven't spent it on anything. Let me go max all these.
Oh my God, let's make a movie. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Until recently I was still paying for those.
Oh yeah. They do get you. Yes.
So,
but at least you have something to show for it. I mean, how many people have run up credit card debt and then they have nothing to show for it except, I do have some movies behind me, but at least you have a film that you've created. But anyway, please go ahead. I jumped in there.
So the idea was to make a film as my college thesis, and that didn't end up working out. We just couldn't get everything together. So for a couple years, while I was then out of college and working at this, I want to say, one of the worst jobs I've probably had ever. It was a production job, but it was like a production job where they kind of ran you into the ground. They took like all these people who wanted to be in production, but they kind of they paid us like $9 an hour, and then made you work overtime to make it go to $10 an hour. But we were doing they made you do 40 how-to videos a week. Like you had to write, produce, shoot, edit, and have them all done Monday through Friday. Each person. God. Each person was
what
responsible
kind
for
of
40.
hours were you working? That's crazy.
So it was you had to do that in 50 hours a week. And out of that, like if you were like, so I was in like the cooking medium, so I had to like in that had to fit in like going grocery shopping for all the ingredients, and all the recommendations for these videos were coming from like fans of the channel. So if someone wanted you to do a turkey dinner, you had to shoot an entire turkey dinner being cooked by like chefs on the internet and stuff. So the time it takes to do that, whereas like another medium, which was like, yeah,
oh my gosh,
like another medium, another medium would be like another medium would be like piano, which my brother-in-law now of all is he worked there too.
Okay.
He could like go on the beach and like, veg out, because one of his videos would be like, here's an A chord on a piano, and then like that would be a full video for him. We're doing full.
Meanwhile, you're making a turkey dinner.
Yeah. So anyway, while there, mind you, like a lot of people that ended up working there ended up like excelling later and like doing amazing things, like because of how high pressure this place was. We had a boss who was like really, really, really horrible to people. Like, I'll tell you after, but like world renowned. Like he has like whole threads on the internet where he like made pregnant women cry to their face. You'd be like arguing with him, and then he'd say things like, "What did you drive to work today? Because I drove a Tesla. Maybe you should listen to the guy who drove a Tesla." Things like that.
Sounds like a wonderful person.
Yeah. But anyway, so I was at this job, and I was like so fed up just with everything. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make this movie come hell or high water. So I put all this money to the side and it wasn't a lot, but I put all this money to the side just to do plane tickets for different people I wanted to go to and from Los Angeles to the New Hampshire and Massachusetts area. And I did a casting session in my grandparents' building that they own in Waltham, Massachusetts. And upstairs, I had I had casting sessions in like these like leftover offices that nobody was renting, and just cast people locally in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. 90% of the people in the film are either my direct family or people that are friends of family or friends of the people that are actually cast in the film already that just they called to come in and be in there. And yeah, so we made the movie work. And as far as the budget of the film, aside from plane tickets, I think $200 was spent on the entire film.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Wow. And it still holds up well today, I think. Like I said, it's streaming on a few platforms now. And it sounds like it really was a family affair, and hopefully it was a little easier to make than your other documentaries. I guess my next question is, what was it like working with the cast? So you said family, friends. Stephen Wu was the lead actor, and he was fantastic in it. What was it like working with him and others that you know well?
So he was great. He was one of the actors I didn't know before who was cast. And then he ended up bringing, I think, 3 other actors that he knew to the project that all ended up being great. And
nice.
He basically, a lot of those monologues in the film, I kind of gave him outlines, and he would improv part of it, but then go back to the outline. So a lot of them are him kind of just like being evil, I was like, be evil and come back to the outline, and he just did it.
He's
but like
very
the girl,
evil in the film. What's he like in real life? I'm sure he's a very nice person.
Yeah, he's a good dude. We're still friends. He's been in a lot of my movies after this as well. He ended up moving to Los Angeles about 4 years later.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and he's been in a ton of films since then. But the girl that he's after the entire time in the film is actually my stepsister.
I see. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
and then like the house that he's in is my stepdad's house. So there's a lot of the different houses and stuff. The big house that he kills the detective's
Spoiler
wife
alert.
in.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. That's shocking.
That's my grandparents' house. So
Oh my.
yeah.
That's too funny. So, well, how do you feel about it? Gosh, how many? It's over 10 years now. How do you feel about it still being watched today? Did you imagine that it would still find an audience so many years later?
I'm happy that it's actually is finding an audience. It just flew under the radar when it first came out. We were very young. It was the first film that got like traditional distribution, and us being very naive, we didn't really go with the best distributor. We didn't see a dime from the DVD release at all. Although
Oh no.
later on we saw that it was in all these different territories and countries, and people from like Belgium are messaging me saying like they have the DVD and stuff, but we never saw a dime. Although all these different promises were made, like, oh, you're definitely going to make money and stuff like that. But every time we were about to make money, all of a sudden new DVDs or things were ordered to get us out of, going into the black.
Oh
So
no.
yeah. And then the
That's
company
too
became
bad.
defunct. Like you always hear, like the company became defunct, and then you just never see a profit. So
Oh man. Well, at least it's streaming now and on a few platforms. So if people want to check it out, they can watch the Cohasset Snuff film. Um, do you think there will ever be a new release of it, like a Blu-ray or I
I
don't know.
hope. I mean, if there's an actual company that wants to do it, I'd be more than happy to. Some of these boutique companies, I'm hoping will see
That's
it
what
and
I'm thinking. Yeah.
and reach out. I don't have the contacts. I've reached out to a few of them, but some of them make it very, very hard to get in touch with.
I've got a few ideas, and we'll run them by you. But we can talk afterward. Let's see. Would you create another found footage film now that you had done
Oh,
that?
it's my favorite genre,
Oh,
man.
cool.
It
I'm happy
has
to hear
been.
that. Yeah.
It has been like the most like obscure found footage films ever are like some of my favorite horror films. So
Absolutely. Yeah, same here. What's your favorite found footage horror movie if you have to pick just one? Put you on
if
the
I had to
spot
pick,
a little bit.
yeah, no. So there was this British found footage film called The Last Horror Movie. Have you ever
hmm
seen it?
I have not. No,
Okay,
but say
so
more. I'm interested.
yeah, the Last Horror Movie is it's very cool. I wish they went even further with how they marketed it, because the way it starts out, it's as if you're watching this like crappy slasher movie, and then like
Okay.
6 or 7 minutes into the movie, the VHS tape like messes up, and it's someone adjusting the camera as if you just rented the tape and someone had like taped over it. And
Oh my
it's this
gosh.
guy who's a wedding videographer, and he basically like is taking you through a documentary of him killing people and showing you why he's killing people. Um, and he's recruited this basically this drunk guy off the street who wants to just make money to film him doing all this stuff, even though he knows it's wrong. But he's filming him killing all these people, and basically asking the question, if I'm sick, why are you watching it? Why are you the one watching it if I'm the sick one?
Oh my gosh.
And this was in like 2004 or 5, I believe it was made.
Yeah, it doesn't sound familiar. I probably own it. I'm looking up my L's are over there. I probably own a copy, but wow, the last horror movie, that's what it's called?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look that up. I love new movie recommendations. I will check it out and I'll let you know what I think afterward. Let's see if there was a found footage horror movie that you could reimagine, right? Maybe not a remake, but like a reimagining. Which one would you like to take on? If you could, of course. And had the budget, right? Any budget you wanted. Dream scenario.
Dream scenario. So I would have to do one that I thought had a good premise,
Mhm.
but didn't turn out the way I wanted. So
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't want to
Gosh.
do because I love like Blair Witch Project. I feel like, or Paranormal Activity. I feel like people would like jump to those immediately, but I wouldn't want to do one that was good.
Maybe that one that was a great premise, but didn't
I
quite
would do
hit the mark. Yeah, go ahead.
I would do Devil's Due just so I could change the ending. Because
That's
I
a
feel
great
like
choice.
it built everything up, but then just to like the car at the end kind of just, I don't know. It wasn't enough of an
I like
ending.
it. No, I love that choice. Awesome. I have one more question about the Cohasset Snuff film, and that is, I like to ask this: if you could describe it using other films like Alien meets Predator, what films would you say, especially for those who haven't seen your movie?
I would say it's Election meets
Yes.
We Need to Talk About Kevin.
Oh, I love it. Yes, absolutely. Cool. Well, hopefully, those who are watching, if they haven't seen the Cohasset Snuff film, will check it out. And congratulations on that. And like I said, the fact that people are still watching it now, that's just fantastic. Congratulations there.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, of course. So let's talk a little bit about Rarity, retro video game collecting in the modern era. The documentary you made about retro video game collectors, I guess I would say, which came out in 2021 and is actually getting even more traction. It seems to be getting even more popular with each passing year. So congratulations on the success of that.
Nostalgia is such an interesting thing to me because so many people place it in different categories.
Nostalgia for me definitely brings me back to when I was younger, when I didn't ache, before I had responsibilities, before I had a full-time job.
It's like a microwave. You're reheating leftovers. Nostalgia is the leftovers. You remember it being so good, it was such a great meal, but it's never going to be as good as it was when you first had the meal.
I finally got one of it too!
Back then I put tons of time, tons of energy, tons of love into getting a box, opening it, smelling it, feeling it, reading these guides, these books. Everything in my mind is vivid. Even looking back at consoles, old boxes, when you see Super Nintendo boxes now, they're bright, everything's crazy.
The reason I wanted to go back and play these old games and collect them, I had a deeper connection with them. I had a more intimate experiences playing with them. I thought they were just more well-made games, like core gameplay. You start to connect certain games with certain people you played them with back in the day, like your friend down the block.
Physical media is something that I think is kind of dying away a little bit. You know, you see these streamers and people that are playing games, there's barely anything on the table, and you know, everyone kind of thinks of like a retro gamer or a collector as a messy almost. For somebody who's a collector, I want to collect the physical media, like I want to have the case with the game inside of it so I can just know it, hug it, and hold it.
What do we care about, right? We care about pop culture, especially in America. Like, it's so American. It's Americana. Like, having physical products, you know, it was capitalism. I mean, 70s, 80s, 90s, think about how many toys came out, how many actual physical products. And us now trying to actually get that stuff back is a representation of preserving culture. Preserving the culture that matters to us, the culture that we grew up with.
I've seen collecting destroy people.
There's a dark side where it can interrupt relationships.
I wouldn't recommend to the common person to fill up an entire room in their house of video games or movies or anything, which is what I do. I mean, we all have our own personal reasons for doing it. It's more of it's a niche thing. So, I mean, nobody does this because this is the thing to do. We just do it because we want to in some way or another, and we may all have our different reasons.
And can you speak to the popularity of your film? Did you ever imagine that it would continue to grow and find an audience 4 years later, right? Came out in 21.
Yeah, not in my wildest dreams, and it was just like a sudden thing. One day I checked and I saw the numbers, and I literally thought it was a mistake or a glitch. So I just kept checking, and then days later it just kept going up, and I told my wife to come look just to make sure that I wasn't, mistaken. And
yeah, that's awesome.
Her look at it. So I think we hit an algorithm or something like that, because I looked and I didn't see any like videos that came out where someone mentioned us or something like that. And word of mouth,
Word of mouth, I bet.
word
Yeah.
of mouth, word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about that movie too is, so when we made the movie, we talk about a very controversial subject, which I didn't know was a controversial subject at the time, which is game grading and stuff. Apparently, now I know that game grading is like a very controversial subject amongst the
Collectors?
some collectors.
Some
So
collectors. Okay.
the ones that don't like it are the ones that will send death threats and send like and they did
Oh my
that.
gosh.
They
Yeah.
did that to like the president of the grading company WADA. We even received some, not many, but we received some like, indirect threats, some direct threats, etc. But even more than that, we got like dive bombed with negative reviews. And even after we got dive bombed with 1-star reviews saying like all this is a movie about people who collect games, graded by the WADA company and stuff like that. All this is a big WADA scam or whatever. Even after that, all these dive bomb reviews were still sitting at like a 6.5 on IMDb, which I think is great. And then like even higher on Amazon and stuff like that. So I'm very happy about that because none of my horror movies are that high, and we didn't even have the dive bombs, from
for those.
reviews.
That's incredible. Can you explain to those watching what is video grading?
So video game grading, it's like, if you look at any of the other like collectible markets and stuff like that, just like comic book grading, it's basically when you see like a case, a game or a comic book like encased, and it's assigned a grade by a grading company, like a 9, 1 through 10.
Okay. Yes.
And that basically gives it a, in theory, higher value because it's been graded by these people who are experts on how much these things are worth. And in theory, the reason why these people don't like that is because they think it's going to make all of the hobby more expensive, because people who don't understand it are then going to think that their Mario is the same thing as this graded game. So they're going to try to charge, the $500 that this graded Mario is for this beat up piece of crap Mario. Which they have a point. If people don't understand something, they're just going to think it's the same thing.
Okay. That makes sense.
The other hobby already has that. There's one for VHS, there's one for DVDs, there's one for comic books, there's one for toys. Every collectible has a grading market. But on the other side, this is only talked about in 17 minutes of a hour and 45-minute documentary. So it's in no way.
It's a small portion of it, and it didn't even jump out to me as controversial. I think is that where the segment where the guy was talking about he spent like $90,000 on certain games?
Yeah. We have someone in it who talks negatively about it as well. So no one
in
even
response.
Mentions
Yes.
No one even ever mentions that there's someone talking negative about it. They just didn't want to see anybody talking positive about it at all. And it's like, well, this is a documentary. It's not a YouTube video. You have to present
it objectively, of course.
And it was the most popular thing that was happening at the time. You can't just pretend it doesn't exist.
Well, I think you handled it objectively, and I didn't think anything of it. I would have never known that there was a controversy aspect to it. My reaction was, as you can see, I'm a collector, but nothing like I'm not spending that much on a single movie. I don't even know if there's a market for that in movie collectibles. I'm sure there is. But my only takeaway was, wow, that's a lot. They're spending a lot of money on these collectible games. Let's see. So why do you think the film has gained so much traction? Why do you think people are still watching it? And what's the fascination? I can see you're a collector. I'm a collector, not video games. But why do you think that there's such a fascination there? Do you think it's the nostalgic element to it? I'm sure that plays a role, and you do speak about that. The guests in the film speak to that. What do you think? I'll stop talking.
I think nostalgia. I think a lot of nostalgia is not a new thing, but I think it's a very powerful thing with millennials, specifically because a lot of millennials, later in life are not the ones that are getting the houses and things like that because the market's kind of crap. The things that mean things to them are more the things from their past, when there wasn't so much stress, when things were a lot easier, and life was just a little bit easier. And whether that's video games, whether that's a toy, whether that's a stuffed animal, I think we touch upon a lot of different things in there. Each chapter is kind of an entirely different take on video games. Like we have a whole segment on just people who collect games that are having to do with like rental stores and stuff like that. Like
I love
games
that.
with rental stickers on them, or games
The
from
stickers and
or games that you could only get from rental stores because they were pornographic games.
The Bible game, the Nintendo, was it the Bible stories? I forget exactly. Go ahead.
And I think what I'm trying to do is offer stories that haven't been told a million times. There's only so many times you can talk about the same Mario games or the same Nintendo titles over and over again in the same documentaries with the same people talking about them. Yes, at a glance, it's about collecting, but really it's about the stories and the people and the connections that make the stories relevant to society and to culture. So I think that kind of connects with people, and that's what we try to do, is make the stories relevant to anybody who's watching them, not just people who are interested in collecting. So
absolutely, and I think you've accomplished that. I think what resonates most about this film is the passion that these collectors have. It comes through loud and clear, and I think that's what stays with you. You can tell that they are really passionate about collecting. They love what they're doing, and the excitement there. And I think that's the I don't know, I think that's what stays with the audience. And I think that's, even if you're not a video game collector, I think you can relate to their excitement. So I think you've captured something really special there, is the point I'm trying to make. So nicely done.
Thank you.
Let's see. Gosh.
We have a part 2, by the way, coming out very soon.
There's a part 2. Oh, that was my next question. Oh, cool. So there is a sequel coming. Will there be some familiar faces returning, or are you adding
not only will there be familiar
new
faces? So the first documentary had 19 interviews. This one's going to have around 65 interviews.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. So right now, the only problem with it is it's around 6 hours long right now. So I'm trying to cut it down and figure out if we're going to do 2 releases or just one giant Snyder Cut movie.
You could do it in segments, right? Do like a.
Well, my problem with
that's yeah.
The problem with that is I feel like there's a lot of YouTubers in it, so I don't want to kind of have it be so similar to it, because they have a lot of long YouTube videos. So I don't want it to just kind of get lost in the shuffle with it being like in segments and having it be kind of just like similar to their YouTube content, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah, totally. Well, gosh, when you're faced with that challenge of having so many hours, even like with the first one, the first Rarity, what was it like editing that down? What is it like creating a documentary when you have all this raw interview footage, putting it into a consumable format?
So with all my documentaries previously, so Rarity is my third documentary that I've done. I was doing it one way, and I've realized with Rarity 2, that way was not going to work with the amount of interviews I do. Usually I take
Okay.
everything, I put all the interviews down on a timeline, and I edit them all out. And usually it's like 2 cameras per interview. And some of these interviews, I'm telling you, they're between 1 hour and 7 hours long with breaks in between.
Oh my
So
gosh. Okay.
yeah. So with each camera, we're talking about like 7 hours of one interview edited, 7 hours of another interview edited. And I kind of let the story form itself based on when I'm going through it. I'll put notes on it, etc. I realized very quickly
While you're recording, you're taking notes
not while I'm recording,
or
like while
afterward.
I'm editing.
Okay.
And it kind of molds together like a piece of clay. Like unlike
Mm.
when I'm doing a feature film, and I've used this a million times. I'm sorry for anybody who watches this and hears this analogy and hears it for
Go
the
ahead.
100th time. So the
Yes.
analogy I always use, and I stole it years ago from somebody, and I apologize because I don't remember who it was. But
Mhm.
someone said if you're building a statue, making a feature film is like, pre-production is the feet, and then production is the knees, and then post-production you get up to the shoulders, and then once you have it out, it's the head, and that's the full statue done. Well, when you have a documentary, someone just
Okay.
throws you a huge thing of clay, and you chip away at it until something starts to form. You have no idea what it's going to be, and then at the end, that's what it is. And that's how I would do it for all the other documentaries. But for this new
Okay.
one, essentially what I'm doing, because it's such a huge undertaking, I'm working on the new one like 7 hours a day. No exaggeration. On top of taking care of a 3-year-old all day, and
Oh my
or
gosh.
working on a full-time job of like working on commercials, and working on other things.
Yep.
After my wife and daughter go to sleep, I'm working on it from 1 in the morning till 7 in the morning, sleeping for like 5 hours, doing it all again, and then working on the movie. So I
Wow. I
still have
can't even
more work.
imagine. Go
So
ahead.
what I'm doing,
Yes.
what I'm doing is I'm exporting the audio,
Mhm.
and I'm doing audio notes of these interviews during the day, during doing mundane things, cleaning the house, etc. And
Yeah.
then when I go to edit, I have the notes of like where in this audio, in this video, I want to do. So rather than doing the whole interview, I'm going right to that point in the video and only editing those points of the video, rather than having to edit a 7
7
hours of
hour video. Oh my gosh.
2 hours. So
Yeah.
it's cut down the work. It seems like it's crazy, but it's cut down the work so much
Mm.
than having to do each interview and the 7 hours of interview and forming it. And also this time,
Yeah.
I actually had the outlines beforehand, and all the people that I'm interviewing are only answering questions based on the outlines rather than just here's a bunch of questions and somehow I'm going to take these questions and make them fit into the documentary.
How close would you say you are to finishing?
Well, besides, I mean, everything's edited right now. I'm just doing all the sourcing of footage and the licensing of footage and placing music and stuff like that. And I'm cutting everything down. Right now, I'm supposed to screen part 2 in July at the Southeast Game
Okay.
Exchange.
Yes.
So that's what I'm shooting for. They might be the test audience, so they might be the first people to ever see it. So.
How many hours do you think you'll get it down to? Over 2?
I'm hoping it's just like a regular
under 2?
documentary length, like under 2, like
Yeah.
right under 2.
Under
Yeah,
2 hours? Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Cool. Well,
yeah,
good luck and keep me updated. I'd love to
for
hear
sure,
where you end up and how the audience reacts to it.
definitely.
Excellent. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Thank you so much for chatting with me about your films. Before I let you go, I want to do the this or that segment. There's no right or wrong answer, and usually it's kind of fun, usually. So basically, I ask you one thing, 2 things, you just pick one or the other. And some of these
Perfect.
are movie comparisons. So As Above, So Below, or The Tunnel.
I would say The Tunnel.
The Tunnel. Good choice. I love that movie. Actually, I love both. Let's see, gothic horror or folk horror?
Folk horror.
Like the folklore element is always nice. Grave Encounters or Hell House LLC?
Oh my! I can't believe you did that to me. I can't believe you did that to me. I love both those movies.
I do
love
too.
both of them. I'm gonna have to go Grave Encounters, unfortunately.
It's a good one. But man, that clown in Hell House
Very close.
LLC.
Very close.
Yes. Okay, I had to throw in some video game questions. PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
PlayStation, okay. Silent Hill or Resident Evil?
Resident Evil.
Okay, fair enough. The Sawyer family or the Hewitt family?
Sawyer family.
The OG, yes. Pizza or tacos?
Pizza.
Depends on your mood, right? I guess you could go with either there. Lake Mungo or Butterfly Kisses?
Lake Mungo.
That's a good one. Mario or Luigi?
Oh, Luigi.
Luigi? Okay, I wasn't sure what you picked there. David Cronenberg or Clive Barker?
Let's go Cronenberg.
That's a tough one. Yeah, okay. All right. Last question. Jaws or the original Halloween?
Jaws.
Okay. Yeah, we usually get Jaws, but Halloween is my favorite film, so we always drop that in there. And Jaws is my co-host's favorite film.
You're gonna hate me. Halloween, not a fan. Not a fan.
Oh no!
I respect
None
it.
of the films. Go ahead.
I respect it. But I saw it after I saw the Friday the 13th films, and I saw it after I saw Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes,
the whole franchise, and I think it kind of ruined it for me. I think if I saw
in
it first,
order, if you saw it first, yeah, I could see that. I mean, I'll admit that it is my favorite film, but I didn't really come to appreciate it until my 20s. Because when I was a kid, I mean, I was with you. I loved all the Friday the 13th films, Nightmare on Elm Street. Halloween takes its time so much, and there is sort of a nostalgic element to it as well. But I love it now. I've got multiple copies of the first movie. All right. Well, anyway, thank you so much for chatting with me today. This has been a blast. Congratulations on all your films and the success of Rarity. It's well deserved. Let's see. If you are watching, like and subscribe because it helps our channel. And Edward, thanks again for chatting with me.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.